Hi, my name is Drayon Sabri, and today I'm going to be doing an introductory video along with some questions and answers. Just to introduce myself, my name is Drayon Sabri Glover, and my YouTube channel mainly consists of content regarding personal development. I am throwing in weight loss videos just because I am in a weight loss journey. Also, just myself growing as a businesswoman, and just I'm adding in travel as well. So it's all feminine fun and growth, which is what I'm about. So one of my main reasons for creating a YouTube channel was mainly because I consume a lot of personal development content. And one thing I noticed amongst creators, even I feel relatable to them just in terms of, you know, wanting to instill discipline and always wanting to better themselves. But one thing that I recognized was most of these creators that I would watch, their upbringing was definitely different from mine. You know, they grew up very comfortably. They grew up having education pushed towards them because their parents went to college, and I didn't necessarily have that. So I know I can offer a different perspective and reach a different audience. I definitely want to uplift the communities that I'm from, where not everyone makes it out. That's kind of my goal, and that's kind of where I really want to drive impact towards. So more to come on that. So going into the questions, so the main topics that I received questions around were travel, career and education, how I'm living my life, what am I doing, how do I feel. There were questions about motivation and personal growth, and then there were some personal interest questions. So I'm going to go over them in that order. So we'll start off with the travel questions. So I've got a question: what's your favorite country you've been to so far? And someone else said fave travel destination. I think my favorite place I've been to so far was Guatemala, and I was not even expecting Guatemala to be one of my favorites on my list. I genuinely felt a transformation in Guatemala. I don't know what it was, but the place was definitely special for me. It was very calm. Like, that place, when I returned to work, I never felt like I don't want to be here anymore. It was something there that made me just feel free, feel like I can do whatever I want, whatever I set my mind to. Dubai, I think I would have to redo it as a grown woman now, because that was like my first international trip ever. But Dubai was definitely nice. So there was just so many different interesting aspects to it. I did like the excursions a lot there, like the camelback riding, the dirt bike, not the dirt bike, but the sand duning stuff. What was another thing that I enjoyed a lot? When we went to Abu Dhabi, we saw the mosque. Still to this day, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I definitely want to go back to just breathe that air. So that's a sum up of my favorite travel destinations. Someone asked me what's next on your travel list, and at the time of this question, it would have been Dominican Republic, which I'm in now, recording from. Right now I'm in Punta Cana. So, okay, someone asked any advice on a place to have a weekend trip to. And I love weekend trips. That's how I kind of maximize my time. Like, people say, oh, you go places so often, but it's because I'm willing to do a short trip. I think sometimes when we're thinking of vacation, when we're thinking of going somewhere, we're thinking it has to be all the way across the country, it has to be outside of the country. And it doesn't always have to be that. Like, going to the next city over that's maybe a 4-hour drive away from you is considered a weekend trip, depending on where you live. And even me, I'm someone who likes to, you know, vacation time is a little tight at work, so I like to use my Friday evenings, fly somewhere, or take off a Friday, fly out somewhere, and then be back by Sunday night, or maybe take a red eye to arrive back in my state by Monday. But that's just because I love to travel. But in terms of different places to have a weekend trip to, I would suggest even like the big popular cities that we see. And it doesn't even have to be those cities neither, but like, I love going to Chicago. So a quick weekend trip there for me is definitely good. I'm from Jersey, so it's always easy for me to just get a flight to New Jersey. I mean, like, if I wanted to visit New York, that would be a great destination to go if you haven't been there. Atlanta's good, Houston, Miami, Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. Those places are good weekend trips. Even the cities that aren't super popular are good weekend trips. So don't think everything has to be all glitz and glam and it has to be a big deal just to go. If you're willing to go somewhere and make it comfortable, no matter where, you'll have fun. The next question was, how do you get the courage to solo travel? Well, one, I've always been comfortable just being alone, so that was never the biggest deal to me. But there was a time where I was hesitant on like going out to the country by myself. The thing that helped me get really get comfortable is kind of just researching. Like, if I'm seeing videos on TikTok of people being able to do it, it's like, why can't I do it? If she can do it, I can do it. So that was kind of my mentality on getting more into solo travel. And then also there's perks to it. Like, you don't have to consider anyone. You can just up and go. You spend the trip however you want. So I definitely did get comfortable and definitely got the courage to, just off of that alone. Okay, so now we're going into career and education. So I guess I should answer, what did I study in university and why? So in college, I majored in mechanical engineering. The reason I chose engineering was just because I liked math and physics. I didn't necessarily know what an engineer was. I just knew like the basis of it. Like, I knew engineers apply math and physics to create whatever creations they make. So as someone who liked math and physics, I was like, okay, I'll apply for mechanical engineering. And one thing with that was I had no clue what I was signing up for. Like, I did not know how rigorous the coursework was. I didn't know, even though the salaries of engineers, I didn't grow up around engineers. I didn't know any immediate engineers in my circle. So I really went into it clueless, but no regrets at all. I am glad I made the choice that I did. It definitely did teach me a lot in the process, so I'm happy. Following that, what do you do for work? I work as a process engineer at my job. I recently just switched into the role in April, and the company I work for, I'm a part of a rotational program. So it's like almost 3 years where you're in different roles and transferring. Yeah, that's what I do for work. I'm a process engineer, so just making sure I'm adhering to the reliability of the machines within the department I work in. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Someone said, do you like your career? I think I'm learning that I like the people at my job. I don't think I'm necessarily fulfilled with my career. For me, I really think business is what I genuinely want to do. I think that's where I will definitely thrive in. I think this is a good start. Definitely a great learning experience. However, I don't think I'm entirely fulfilled, but I do like the career. Do I love the career? That's a different question. The next question is how to balance corporate world and passion for travel. Yeah, so it's hard. Like, when you, especially as a multi-passionate person, sometimes being in the corporate life is a little difficult. But as you can see, even though I am working this job as a process engineer, I'm still traveling. I'm still pursuing my business ventures. I'm also still building a personal brand, just like with YouTube and being present on social media. So how to balance it is, because the reality of it is, when you're working in a corporate setting, you have to go into work. Like, that takes up majority of your time throughout the weekdays. So now it's like, after you get off work, what are you doing for yourself? Like, I think every single day I'm doing something, whether it's towards my business, whether it's towards my YouTube channel, or just towards something that's personally developing myself. So that's how I would say I would balance it. Like, if you're someone who genuinely has multiple passions, do not push them aside because you're tired after getting off of work. Because it's not fair to you if you just end your day and say, okay, well, I'm just going to go home and go sleep and lay in bed for the rest of the night. Like, that's not productive. That's not serving your passions. That's not serving you. So don't solely just rely on your corporate life. Let's balance it with other things. And also with travel, another thing I would add, okay, the holidays. I like to maximize my holidays by going to travel. That's kind of like my sacrifice. So like for the 4th of July weekend, since the 4th of July landed on a Friday this year, I took vacation on a Thursday and Monday. So that's only 2 vacation days for a trip that went from Thursday to Monday. That could have went from like Wednesday night all the way until Monday, you know? So that's kind of how I prioritize travel. When some people, for the 4th of July, I'm like, yeah, I'm going out country, and someone's like, well, me and my family are doing a barbecue. You know, that's not my, I don't relate to that. So that's how I kind of balance travel. That's how I do go travel just a little bit more, just because I use those days personally. The next question is about life and living. So someone asked, how was your experience moving state to state on your own? So just for background, when I graduated college, I was given a job offer with my company, and my company, they had, like I said, they have a rotational program, so you try out different roles, and in those roles they have those roles in states such as Ohio, Indiana, and Georgia. Prior to my full-time job offer, I did intern and I stayed in Ohio, so that was kind of like my first being set away from home. And there I just like I said before, like I've always been comfortable being alone, so it wasn't like a big deal for me. Actually, it was pretty comfortable for me because, you know, I had somewhere I was staying, and, you know, I was kind of just responsible for me. Oh yeah, let me tell you. So when I did get the full-time job offer, the first place I stayed was in Indiana, specifically Indianapolis. Indiana was okay, I just don't think it was for me. I don't think there I was able to thrive. I remember like mentioning to the coordinator, like, I want to go down to Georgia, because the Georgia site is a little more my speed. It's just multiple ways, like we're next to Atlanta, so just the amount of Black brilliance that is just there is great. Just the social life is great. Like I said, in Indiana, it just wasn't for me. I didn't have any friends there. I didn't talk to anyone there. So anything socially I was doing was literally me going out of state to see my friends in Jersey or Baltimore. That was it. So, but in Atlanta, like I literally, well, I don't stay in Atlanta. I stay in Newnan, Georgia. But being in that proximity to Atlanta, like I have a full life down there now. I have people at whose house I can go to. I'm just grateful, like even moving down there. And also, pause, I'm jumping all over the place, but also with moving, so just a quick timeline. So I'm from Trenton, New Jersey, got my first full-time offer, went to live in Indianapolis, stayed in Indianapolis for about a year and some change, and then I got transferred to Georgia. So overall, that experience for me was okay. I did have my brother with me. He did graduate high school a little bit after I graduated college and started my full-time role. And honestly, I let him come stay with me, so I got a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So he has been with me, so I haven't been completely alone. But it honestly, especially in Indiana, I felt like I was alone because he like we're on 2 separate sides of the house, so it's like it wasn't like we were around each other all the time. So I still felt like I was alone, but we are very close as well. But yeah, he's been with me. Someone said, what's life like post-grad? Y'all, I love life after graduation. I mean, for me, college was a miserable experience. Not that I would not recommend it to people. I think it is definitely a learning point for a lot of people. It just did not satisfy me to the utmost extent. Like, y'all, fun fact, when I started, because during college, I was hustling. Like, it was, you know, I had maybe 2 to 3 jobs at a time, like working at Wawa, working another job, and then always doing DoorDash. So doing that on top of like the engineering coursework, I was hustling. And then when I got my first full-time offer and I moved to Indiana, I ended up getting a job at Starbucks across the street. And it got to the point where I was like, girl, sorry, my SD card ran out of space. What I was saying was with, you know, I was working at Starbucks while I was working this full-time job as an engineer. And I had to tell myself, like, girl, you don't need to be doing this anymore. You don't need to keep hustling like crazy. And that's kind of where I readjusted my mindset. You know, you need to start putting that extra time into doing something that cultivates what you want to live. Do something that honors what you want to do for the rest of your life. And that's when I started like creating businesses. You know, my first business was Clarity On, which was like a skincare brand. But yeah, that's kind of the biggest reward of life post-grad, is kind of just no longer just doing to survive, but I'm doing to enjoy. I'm doing everything I do to enjoy life, doing everything I do to progress forward instead of just like trying to make ends meet. So it's such a relieving feeling. And also, even after graduating, guys, one thing I realized is I was way more emotional. Like, I was the type to hold back tears at a funeral. I never really released my emotions, and after graduating, it was just a freedom to the point where I would cry about everything. Like, if my friend says she's about to get her degree, I'm bawling tears. But it was just, and now I'm just one of those who's, you know, I'm just leaning into my femininity. That's one thing I realized I'm doing. And part of that is just being able to openly emote. Just being able to cry because you're happy, being able to cry because you're sad, being able to speak up if you feel uncomfortable, you know. So it has definitely been good in so many different ways, and I think for me, this is something I want to keep feeling. That's why I like encourage people, you know, like just get through it. You're like, life is going to be so much better, and you don't have to worry about these crazy deadlines. And the funny thing about life post-grad is you kind of don't know what you end up doing. Like, yes, you'll get a job, but like sometimes if you don't know nothing about the industry, you're like, you would not picture you necessarily doing that. So that's a little funny thing. Someone asked, is there anything you wish you did differently? I think the only thing I would wish I did differently was be intentional. But the thing I have to also acknowledge is I didn't necessarily have the tools. Y'all, this is my third time using another SD card. I'm just blessed to have a backup. I don't know where I was at, so I already answered what's life post-grad. Okay, we have a few more questions to get through. Oh yeah, someone was asking, is there anything you wish you did differently? And like I said, I wish I was a little more intentional, but I have to realize I didn't have the tools to necessarily be intentional or the resources. And when I say that, like, for example, kind of the way I chose my major, I was like, well, I just want to go to college. You know, I didn't know the salaries engineers made. I didn't know what industry I would be in. I didn't know any in those terms. So when I say being intentional, I mean like to the point that you are well aware of everything within that. Like, I didn't know much about the school life. So, but like I said, it all comes back down to the resources I had and the knowledge I had and the people I had around me at the time. So I'm not necessarily like, you know, that's crazy. But other than that, I can say I wish there was things I've done differently in relationships. But you know, like, everything is meant to be learned. And as long as you're able to learn your lessons, I'll say that. And every lesson doesn't need to be taught as well. So yeah, but honestly, I feel like everything has happened for a reason. God wouldn't put people in my life if there wasn't a lesson to be learned, or put me through a circumstance that wasn't worth learning something from. So that's my answer. Okay, someone says, what is the biggest thing you hope to get out of life? Life is short. I think one of the biggest things, especially as I'm growing into a woman, is that life is too short to be so restricted. I believe in embracing creativity, and I think that's the thing I definitely want to do the most. And whether it's through art, if it's through business, I think the biggest thing I want to get out of life is being able to be open creatively. I mean, that's kind of what I'm focusing on now. Okay, and then someone else asked, what brought you to be the person that you are today? I think mainly just absorbing what I saw growing up and knowing what I didn't want. Like, and this kind of goes back into the question about being intentional, because I kind of did things based on what I didn't want instead of doing things based on what I actually did want. So me seeing people in my life, you know, who ends up on drugs, or, you know, they don't really do much for themselves. You know, I'm like, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to go to college and get this done. But in reality, it was like, okay, but what was the end goal for that? So I think those things definitely helped shape who I am today. And just always wanting more for myself. I think that's probably like the biggest thing. Like, my intestinal fortitude is, I would say, amazing. And I don't realize that until I talk to other people, or just even having a vision. I think being such a visionary person definitely contributes to who I am now, because even when I have conversations with other people, I'm like, okay, you know, sometimes the picture isn't as big as how I'm painting it in my head. So I think that definitely contributes to who I am today. And I guess another thing is, someone asked, how would I describe love? I think love is definitely precious. I don't know how I would describe it. I don't like describing words. But I really think love is being able to trust to whatever extent, being able to be there unconditionally for people, and also being able to see beyond character flaws, being able to see beyond circumstances. I mean, I think I'm giving struggle love right now, but I don't know how I would describe it. I honestly, like me, I used to always say home is where the heart is, and what I always interpreted that as was, me and my family moved a lot. Just especially due to the evictions and things like that. And no matter like where we were, I knew home had love. Home was togetherness, and I think maybe that's how I would describe it, being together, and not even in a way where it's just physical, but just emotionally as well. Yeah, I don't know what else to say for it, but love is definitely patient and being kind. That's like 100% true. So okay, next section is motivation and personal growth. Someone says, how do you define what keeps you motivated? What keeps me motivated is I just want so much out of life. The things that I see for myself, it's a lot, and it's to the point that some may say I'm delusional, but that keeps me motivated, and the impact that I want to give and how much I want to give back to my community. I want to be able to do so in a way that is extremely impactful. I want to be able to guide people, to let them know like there's so much more to life. And I think that's what keeps me motivated. Like even through college, I remember like in the first year it was just so rough, and I'm just like, man, should I even drop out? And I'm just like, no, look at the people who are rooting for you. Look at the people who have to learn from you later on. Look at the people that you have to show and be an example to. So that's what keeps me motivated, most certainly. Someone says, what's your main goal for the YouTube channel? My main goal is definitely to spread impact, peace, and love. I think, and also be able to educate people in ways that aren't necessarily like educating, but just giving different perspectives, unique perspectives to different topics regarding personal development, maybe even travel, maybe even business, maybe even career, or just motivation altogether. That's my main goal for my YouTube channel. I definitely do know that it will grow just because of the effort I'm going to put in, and I'm being intentional, so it's going to grow. So here are just some fun and personal interests. Someone says, who is your favorite artist right now? I love music so much, so it changes so often. Right now I would probably say Jill Scott. Like, I love Jill Scott. Beyonce is like one of my top artists. She's one of the artists of my life as well. Yeah, I love them so much. And Adele. I think those are probably like the people that I play 100% the most. I'm not going, yeah, we're not going to go in the rabbit hole. And someone asked, what's my camera setup? Right now I have a lamp right here. This is the Sony a6100. And I also put on a 30mm Sigma lens. So that's my current setup. I have had the 50 prime lens on this camera when I first started YouTube back in December of 2024. I had the Canon EOS R100 and I put a 50 prime lens on that. So those are my setups so far. And then also I just recently started vlogging. So this is my DJI Pocket 3. I think it's cute. So I will be using this for like vlogging. I'm about to add, oh, there's no SD card in here. I forgot it's in there. So let me turn this off. But yeah, I do like this camera. So that's kind of my questions and answers for you all. I really thank everyone for asking me the questions. A lot of topics that were asked, I can definitely go a little more in depth for. Just leave a comment for what you would want to see more of, or hear more about. I'm pretty much an open book, so ask me anything and I'm willing to make a video about it. Yeah, but thank you for watching my video, and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and bye.